Alright, so we're talking about Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child. Now, I will admit, I watched most of this on Friday, but had to go somewhere for the weekend, and came back and finished it. So, if I'm a little rusty on this, I'm sorry. I'm not going to sit and rewatch a movie I've already watched most of it of, and I've seen it before, so I could probably, I do apologize for the way I sound. I still have, still have a cold. I'm trying to get rid of it. It's persistent, but gotta move forward, you know what I mean? Gotta finish this. So, we pick up maybe a year after the first film, possibly. Gotta be a year if Alice has made new friends, And now Freddy is trying to get to Alice through her unborn child's dreams, which I think is a hell of a concept, because it is true, babies do dream. I mean, we can never know for sure, maybe doctors know, but I think it is true, babies do dream. So, the fact that they're using this concept, it's a pretty good idea. But the execution, not so much. This movie is one of the worst movies of the franchise. Not the worst. We'll get to that one next. Even though I do enjoy it more than most. Because I think of it more as a horror comedy. But this film, we got into some of the gross out stuff with the last film with Debbie's death, right? And then even the suck face thing was kind of a gross out. But okay, I'm getting a little ahead of myself, and I'm sorry. So in this film, there's only 2 people left at the end of the last one from the core group of Elm Street kids or whatever, and that was Alice and her boyfriend Dan. Well, now they're together. They're officially together, and they're graduating high school. They got 3 new friends: Mark, Yvonne, and Greta. And they make up the core Elm Street kids for this film. Cannon fodder, so to speak. And of course, because this is a horror sequel, we gotta call off one of the characters from the last film right away. And that's Dan's death. But that is the best death of the film. And that's, he gets a call from Alice that something's going on because she goes to walk from the graduation ceremony to to her work at the diner, where she still works from the last one. And during that, she ends up at the asylum seeing the birth of Freddy Krueger. And then he goes into the remains from the previous film, which I do like that. It's better than being pissed on by being pissed on with fire by a dog. And he jumps into his remains from the last film and comes out whole again. I like that. And she tries to chase after him or something, and then she's back. She's at the diner, and it's been like 2 hours. So she calls Dan, and they're at this pool party at the school or whatever, and he has to leave, and he gets in his car, and he falls asleep, of course. And so he ends up crashing back into the pool, and he comes out, and he can't find the keys for his truck, so he takes a bike, because he thinks he just, woke up, or whatever, but there's no one else there. But the motorcycle ends up being Freddy, and he attaches himself to Dan's hands, and turns Dan into this RoboCop-looking type thing, and it's gnarly looking, and it's the best death of this movie, bar none. Because we're talking about Greta's death. She's the next one. Gross. Okay. The thing with Greta is that, Freddy preys on your insecurities and what bothers you and what can be your fears and everything like that. So the big thing is that Greta's mom wants her to be a supermodel. Therefore, she can't put all the normal, cheeseburgers and stuff into her body. Well, Greta falls asleep at the dinner table, and she can't eat, like, her stuff, And falls asleep, and Freddy just starts, like, I think, I've heard of people describe it as feeding her own insides to her, is what I think it is. And it's just gross. I don't care for that at all. Mark's death, on the other hand, is going from death to death because I can talk about this. Mark's death, on the other hand, is actually kind of cool. And then the end result is kind of... So Mark's in the comic books, right? He falls asleep. You do this type thing. I mean, you could... Take on me. Take on me. Take me on. I like to do whenever he goes into the comic book, I like to go. That sequence is over. Because it works. And basically he ends up in this black and white comic book world fighting Freddy. He turns into this Avenger type character or whatever with his 2 machine guns, and he blows up Freddy. But then Freddy turns into Super Freddy and then slashes him into pieces. That's Mark's death. But it's but when Alice gets there, it's like the whole thing is falling, the building is falling on top of him or something because he lives in a warehouse. That would be kind of cool, to live in a warehouse, but I don't know. The main point of this is that she is trying to stop Freddy from taking over her child. We get a scene where she's in the hospital and she sees this little boy he says his name is Jacob. She says, "That's my favorite name." Right away, you think that's her kid. It's her kid coming to her. Like, oh my, he even says, "My mom doesn't want me." "I'm sure she wants you." "No, she hates me." It's like this little kid who's, I thought it was Miko Hughes at first, but he's in New Nightmare, not this one. So it's a different, I forget the name of the actor, but it's a different actor. But let's look at the negative stuff. I mean, I tell you something like Greta's death, but I mentioned this with my review of Art Racing in the Rain. I'm not a big fan of, they don't go too far with it in this, but I'm not a big fan of the whole, we think you're an unfit mother, so we're going to take your child away from you type thing. Or unfit parent, which is why Mrs. Doubtfire gets kind of, I love Mrs. Doubtfire, but that movie kind of gets towards the end, but Dan's parents show up because at the hospital, she asks if babies can dreams and stuff, and then she has an argument with Yvonne that the doctor hears about Freddy. And so she calls the doctor calls Dan's parents, and they say that they think that they should have custody of the child when it's born, and she's like, "No, I'm keeping the baby." They're like, "Well, the judge might not agree with you." Well, we don't. She ends up keeping the baby in the end. I just don't think that was even needed. Because it doesn't amount to anything. You don't have a trial. There's no, thing in the end. She's with the baby at the end. So that kind of not needed. You could take that out. And we wouldn't even... Some people might question why no one called the authorities about some raving lunatic. But other than that, it's not really needed in the film. And while Freddy isn't particularly gone over the hill yet with his comedy, it's starting to get there. Whereas in 3, it was good. In 4, it was okay. And here, it's starting to get to that, okay, it's just a little too, soul food for my boy. And he puts down and he brings the 2 that died before to Jacob and his... This is a part of the trilogy, and I want to talk about this because all of the big three franchises, Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, have a little trilogy in them of films that connect to each other. Like Friday the 13th, it's the Tommy Jarvis trilogy with Friday the 13th, the final chapter, Friday the 13th, part 5, the new beginning, Friday the 13th, part 6, Jason Lives. those three are connected, even though they kind of ignore number 5. But and then in it's a trilogy, and then in Friday the 13th, no, in Halloween you have Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers, and Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers, which are all kind of connected as well. And then, of course, they're going to have, Halloween Kills, Halloween 2018, Halloween Kills, and Halloween Ends, kind of a little trilogy as well now. And then you have the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. They have 3, 4, and 5 that are all connected like this. And after this, it goes to a different direction. And, yeah, I just kind of want to discuss that, because I find that interesting. All three of the main franchises have that. And many other franchises can say they at least have 2 or 3 that connect, like right after each other. Because even the Friday the 13th at the beginning don't really have, even the Chucky ones. Well, I guess you can say that 1, 2, and 3 with Chucky sort of connect, but it gets disconnected with 3 because it's a different neck you're playing Andy, but you know what I mean. No, guys, this one is okay. It's not the best, but it's not the worst. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 7 out of 10 for Nightmare on Elm Street 5, Dream Child. Yeah, that's right. So, what are your thoughts on Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child? Let me know in the comments below. Like, share, and subscribe, and welcome to Primetime, bitch.